of all, why in India only? So why English has become so important? Is like that, sir, in the future also it will take in India such kind of steps?
If you look at positively, globally the language of business is English. And India has got advantage over there. When you failed in some things, what is the learning?
The thing I've learned most from failure is that the more failure that you have, the easier it is to get up and keep trying again. And I still, yeah.
Namaskar. Today we are going to talk about the future of the entrepreneurship or the future of the jobs, businesses, what the life would be like in the future. मुझे लगता है कि बहुत सी चीजें शायद उसमें से आप लोगों के लिए सरप्राइज भी होंगी. Are you ready for some surprises? In your mind, what do you think, how the businesses will be conducted, let's say 20 years from now?
I think it would be very ethical because we are moving towards a growth, and it would become more ethical and more established and more organized.
What if I say to you that you will not require any credit card, you will not have any identity card, just this skin. You will just show your skin and everything of yours is known to somebody. आज हमारे बीच में एक बहुत बड़े इंटरेस्टिंग पर्सनालिटी we have invited for you, and I think you are actually lucky guys. He is a engineer by profession after working 15 years as an engineer for IBM. Now he is teaching at Da Vinci Institute, and he predicts future, what the future is going to be like. So I'll introduce him to you as we go along in a while, and I'll encourage you to ask him questions. We will hear from him what are his predictions for the future. Like one of the predictions I have been making for last 8-10 years, there will not be any offices anymore. सब लोग घर से काम कर सकेंगे. ऑफिस या जो भी जगह निर्धारित होगी वहां केवल आएंगे केवल मिलने के लिए, मीटिंग करने के लिए. There will not be any regular jobs. You will not be employed on a monthly salary or anything. You will get assignments, projects. You do that project and done with it. You get your money doing that project and उसके बाद खत्म. मेडिकल डॉक्टर फ्रॉम अमेरिका मिले, अपने इंडियन डॉक्टर हैं. पहले अगर इंटेस्टाइन में कैंसर का ऑपरेशन करना पड़ता था तो यहां से लेके पेट यहां तक काटते थे. अब थ्रू एंडोस्कोपी दे डू इट, स्मॉल कट, दे पुट ए पाइप इनसाइड, उसके माध्यम से पूरा अंदर का ऑपरेशन करके सब कुछ करके वापिस सील करके इट कम्स आउट. आज जो इक्विपमेंट मिलता है वो है $200,000 का. What he has been able to do there in the US have created another equipment which is costing roughly about $40,000, he said. तो यहाँ आए थे तो मैंने हमारे ग्रुप में एक साइंटिस्ट की टीम हमने बेंगलोर में बनाई हुई है, उनको हमने दिखाया. So you will be surprised that they will be able to make it in $4,000, that equipment. Now imagine, अगर वो $4,000 में जो अभी $2,00,000 में इक्विपमेंट बनता है तो हमारे देश में क्या इसका इम्पैक्ट होगा, ये हम सोचने की बात अगर करें. मैं यहाँ आते आते सोच रहा था तो 1,25,000 डॉक्टर्स, 1,25,000 प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर सेंटर्स में वो इक्विपमेंट रख के इलाज गांव में भी कर सकेंगे. People in the villages can also afford, and lot of jobs will be created. ऐसा समय होगा कि जो इंडिविजुअली आप लोग जो कर सकेंगे वो बड़ी कॉरपोरेशंस कर नहीं पाएंगे. So the whole thing is going to go through a very, very strong paradigm shift. That is what future is having in store for us. You have some questions on this?
इंसान और कभी भी अगर तरक्की करना चाहे या कोई भी चीज आगे जाना चाहता है, बट उसको ये नॉलेज नहीं होता है कि वो कैसे जाए. हमेशा कंफ्यूजन में रहता है, क्या करे नहीं करे.
आज के दिन तो इंटरनेट के युग में आपको 90% चीजें मिल जाती हैं इंटरनेट पे. डू यू एग्री विद दैट? इफ यू वांट टू सर्च रियली यू कैन फाइंड आंसर टू योर क्वेश्चंस, बट स्टिल लेट अस सी some of the success stories. I would like to show you one success story. There is one Nishant Jain from Meerut. आप आगे देखिए कि उनको क्या तकलीफ थी और उन्होंने क्या किया.
मेरठ के पंजाबी पुरा कॉलोनी में रहने वाले निशांत जैन का जन्म बेहद ही सामान्य परिवार में. निशांत की पूरी पढ़ाई हिंदी माध्यम से हुई. हिंदी में एमए करने के बाद डाक विभाग में क्लर्क के पद पर नौकरी भी शुरू की, लेकिन लक्ष्य था आईएएस ऑफिसर बनने का. लेकिन जब उन्होंने पहली बार सिविल सर्विस का एग्जाम दिया तो वो प्रीलिम्स भी क्लियर नहीं कर पाए. अपनी मेहनत सफल होती न देख निशांत अंदर ही अंदर टूट गए. ऐसा लगा कि मातृभाषा का इस्तेमाल उन्हें विफलता की ओर ले जा रहा है. कुछ ऐसी ही विषम परिस्थिति में निशांत ने डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा शो देखने की शुरुआत की, जहां से उन्हें हर परिस्थिति में आगे बढ़ने की प्रेरणा मिली.
पहले अटेम्प्ट में प्रीलिम्स ही क्लियर नहीं हुआ तो बहुत निराशा हुई कि जब पहले अटेम्प्ट में प्रीलिम्स ही क्लियर नहीं हो रहा तो तैयारी भी की थी फिर भी नहीं हुआ तो लगा कि मैं शायद नहीं कर पाऊंगा. मैं तो यही कहता हूं कि ये टाइम मैनेजमेंट की वजह से ही हो पाया है, क्योंकि जॉब मैं 2 साल से जॉब कर रहा हूं और मैं वीकेंड में ज्यादा पढ़ता था, शाम को थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ता था.
अब आलम यह है कि निशांत इस वर्ष के सिविल सर्विसेज के एग्जाम में देश में 13वीं रैंक और माध्यम में प्रथम स्थान पाने वाले व्यक्ति बन गए. आज निशांत डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा शो को युवाओं के लिए किसी वरदान से कम नहीं मानते.
देखिए, जीवन में परेशानियां सबकी आती हैं, कोई बिखर जाता है और कोई निखर जाता है. तो सुभाष चंद्रा शो से हमें ये मदद मिलती है कि जो परेशानियां आई उनमें बिखरे नहीं, उनमें निखरे हम.
वाकई निशांत की सफलता देख यही लगता है कि उन्होंने अपनी विफलताओं से भी अपनी सफलता का रास्ता बना ही लिया.
तो आपकी बात का जवाब यही है कि कंफ्यूजन है तो कंफ्यूजन को दूर करें. Have faith and confidence in yourself and your abilities to succeed.
Today's world, why in India only? So why English has become so important that in getting in any interview, we have to if the person in Hindi speaks in interview, so there are some lacking points in that, and the person with having good communication skills in English has given more importance. Is like that, sir, in the future also it will take in India such kind of steps?
I don't know whether it is unfortunate or fortunate. I think if you look at positively, I would like to look at it positively. If you look at positively, globally the language of business is English. And India has got advantage over there.
So there's a part of the 3D printing world called contour crafting. And so they developed these machines that, if you're familiar with what a concrete pumper is, it actually pumps a flow of concrete. Well, it's put into place and you can actually print an entire building.
Please welcome Mr. Thomas Frey. He is the futurist. He has been making a lot of predictions, things which is going on globally and also in India, the startups, the new media industry, where the funders and the founders are multiplying by numbers, and there is prediction that by 2020, you will have 2.5 times more startup in India and elsewhere also from the current level. Would you think that is the industry which is going to give a lot of jobs?
Yeah. There's some studies done in the United States that say that most of the job creation happens in the first 5 years of startup businesses. So after businesses turn into big industries, they'll maintain their level of employment, but there's not going to be a lot of hiring there. Most of the hiring is going to happen in the early stage startups. So that's where all the activity is going to happen. That's where people are going to become very wealthy, very influential.
You have predicted one that by 2030 that over 20% of the all new construction will be printed buildings. What does that mean?
So there's a part of the 3D printing world called contour crafting. And so they've developed these machines that, if you're familiar with what a concrete pumper is, it actually pumps a flow of concrete. Well, it's put into place, and you can actually print an entire building with that. That replaces all of the labor, all of the manpower that's necessary. And once we get good at doing this, the next generations will be not only printing the structure, it will also be printing wiring in the walls and plumbing in the walls and cabinets in the kitchen and the toilets in the bathrooms.
So you mean to say that today we print the building house through concrete, pouring concrete and everything.
Yeah.
You think you will have a different method of printing which will make the house in one day?
Yeah, so we'll be able to print in multiple materials. So you can print the doors going into the house. You'll be able to print the windows in the wall. You'll be able to print the wiring, the heating ducts, and so that you can heat and cool the house. All of that can get incorporated into the design of this structure. With all of this automation, it gives us additional capabilities. We automate a lot of jobs out of existence, but it gives us the ability to do much more. So let me just go through these quickly here. With automation, every exponential decrease in effort creates an equal and opposite exponential increase in capabilities. I'll give you a quick example here. In 1850, the average transportation speed was 6 kilometers an hour. By 1900, it doubled to 12 kilometers an hour. By 1950, we got up to 36 kilometers an hour. And then by 2000, because so many people are flying, we're averaging 110 kilometers per hour. Now, if you follow that trend line, then by 2050, we should reach 240 kilometers an hour. So
you mean to say that the vehicle will will be driven at 337 kilometers per hour in 2050?
Yeah. Maybe not downtown Mumbai.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I got scared of.
But we're going to be developing tube transportation and other systems that will enable us to get across the different continents very quickly.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
The second law is, as today's accomplishments become more common, mega accomplishments will take their place. And as we raise the bar for our achievements, we also reset the norm for our expectations. So as things become easier to do, we'll just do more of it, and we'll just expect more. And that's what creates more jobs. We need to set our sights much higher. Now, technology like this is also going to create lots of new jobs. Virtual reality engineers, coders, producers, system anthropologists, augmented reality architects, we can get very creative with our thinking in this area.
Thank you very much, Tom, for coming to our show.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, we'll continue. This is another great motivator is there amongst us. I have Jason with me. He is a disruptor. He created disruption in the production industry, movie industry. We would like to hear from him what he did. But before that, Jason, we call you. We have few people in our country, some of the success stories. I'm going to show to you a 80-year-old person who has been doing since 1947, the people, those who get lost in a large gathering, in the Kumbh Melas and things like that. So he has united more than 1 million people from there near and dear. Just look at it.
इलाहाबाद का अर्ध कुंभ मेला, जहां लाखों लोग श्रद्धा की डुबकी लगाने देश विदेश से आते हैं, लेकिन लाखों लोगों की इस भीड़ में शंखों और ओम नमो शिवाय के जाप के बीच कुछ सिसकियां भी गूंजती हैं। उन लोगों की जो अपनों को इस विशाल मेले में खो देते हैं, और उस वक्त इन हताश लोगों की मुलाकात होती है एक ऐसे शख्स से जो किसी फरिश्ते से कम नहीं। 89 साल के राजा राम उर्फ भूले भटके तिवारी पिछले 70 दशक से करीब 15 लाख लोगों को उनके परिवार से मिला चुके हैं। न किसी सरकारी महकमे की सहायता, न ही किसी बैंक या संस्था से लिया गया पैसा, सिर्फ अपने परिवार की मदद से शुरू किया खोया पाया शिविर।
ये तब उसमें कोई व्यवस्था नहीं मिली थी, गवर्नमेंट थी तो झुग्गी झोपड़ी लगा के रहते थे, न बिजली था, न पानी था, न रोड था, न कुछ नहीं था उस समय। तो जो बुढ़िया निकलती थी कुरिया से, अपने कुरिया नहीं घुसती थी, लाइट नहीं था तो रोने लगती थी। तो 9 आदमी हम लोग इलाहाबाद के मिल करके संकल्प किया कि भाई चलो सेवा किया जाए।
चाहे उम्र अब साथ न दे रही हो, लेकिन राजा राम के हौसले अब भी बुलंद हैं। और अपने पिता का यही जज्बा देखकर उनके सबसे छोटे बेटे उमेश तिवारी भी इसी काम से जुड़ चुके हैं। 1946 में शुरू किए गए खोया पाया शिविर को अब यही चलाते हैं।
लगता है कि एक इंसान होके इंसान के काम आना, लगता है परमात्मा ने कितनी बड़ी हमें जिम्मेदारी दी है।
तो अगर आपके पास भी है किसी ऐसे शख्स की कहानी जिसने कर दी अपनी जिंदगी दूसरों के नाम, तो हमें लिख भेजिए clubdsc@zmedia.slgroup.com पर।
So this is the kind of thing we have. Have you seen his movie Paranormal Activity? He is the man. He made it.
What Paranormal Activity kind of showed was that there was, to me, was that there was a way to work on both sides of the movie business, the independent side and the studio side.
Some of you were asking me during this break that what are the, if not that kind of radical thought, what can we do almost immediately? To my mind, there are businesses which are like healthcare, for example, I think is going to be a very, very, very growing business in the future. It's not going to remain a monopoly of a large corporations, large hospitals. You can do lots of things in the healthcare, starting from a one-man show to 5 people, 10 people, lots of things you can do in the healthcare. You can start doing building a care for the elderly as a business, not only as a social activity, but you can start doing that as a business. You can start keeping some elderly people, they will pay you money. There are a lot of people, Indians living abroad, those who are having difficulty in keeping their parents with them. Now we have with us Jason Blum, who was almost, people had lost faith in him, a disruptor and a motivator. Please come, Jason. Give him a big hand. Have you seen his movie, Paranormal Activity? All of you? He is the man. He made it.
Thank you. Thank you.
How did you start, Jason?
I started, let's see, I'm 46, so I started in the early 90s, and I started as an executive working for Miramax, for Bob and Harvey Weinstein. And I always wanted to have my own company, and 15 years ago, in 2000, I started my own company.
Yeah.
And I made 10 movies, and there were more people in the crew of the movies than who saw the movies.
Oh.
In other words, they did not do well.
Yeah.
They were more art house movies. They were independent movies. And so about 5 years into it, I decided what I really wanted to do was make a big studio movie. So I made a movie called The Tooth Fairy with The Rock. Do you guys know that movie? It was a family movie. Yeah. So I went to Vancouver, and I produced this movie. It was a $65 million movie, and I was 35 years old, and I thought that was my dream, and I couldn't stand it. I thought being part of producing a movie that was that expensive, you had to make so many compromises, and I thought the producer was in charge, and really I was really an employee of people I didn't want to be an employee of. And about the same, and the positive thing about The Tooth Fairy, though, was that I saw how big movies got distributed. And The Tooth Fairy was distributed in a way that none of my other movies, obviously, had ever been distributed. And fortunately, Paranormal Activity and The Tooth Fairy came out at about the same time. And Paranormal Activity was also released by Paramount, by a big studio. And what I learned from those two movies happening at the same time, about 10 to 15 years into my career, is I had kind of combined two different things, which is independent filmmaking and studio filmmaking. And really that's what Paranormal Activity was. It was a movie made totally independently. I didn't make the movie. I actually saw, I can tell the story if you want. It's a separate story. But someone else made it, and it was about to go to video, and I got it distributed, and so I produced it. But what Paranormal Activity kind of showed was that there was, to me, was that there was a way to work on both sides of the movie business, the independent side and the studio side. And I was lucky that when Paranormal Activity became a success, I had worked for long enough in the business to not just try and make more expensive movies. Typically in Hollywood, success means more expensive. And I made a very conscious decision to try and repeat what happened with Paranormal Activity, which is to make very low-budget, independent films and have them released by studios. And the first one we made after Paranormal Activity was Insidious. And then we've made sequels to that, and we made Sinister, and we made The Purge, and we made Ouija. And I guess about the third or fourth time, the second time people thought I was nuts, but the third or fourth time people kind of thought we had something that was working. And now, our company does all different things. We do television, we do live events, we do haunted houses, we have a book division, we have an online place for scary stories called Blumhouse.com. But still, the main business of our company is very, very low budget, wide release movies. So I like to say that we brought the average price of a studio movie down by 90%. So the average studio movie is about $50 million, and we make our movies for about $5 million.
Wonderful.
That's the short version.
And on television also you do the scary stuff?
So what I'm trying to do with our company is create a world of scary stuff in every media. That's what I'm trying to do. So in TV, we also do scary stuff. Now, the way you define scary is different for everyone. We recently did a show called The Jinx for HBO. Did anyone see The Jinx here? Did that come out here? No one. Well, The Jinx was a scary show. It was a reality show about this guy who committed this terrible crime in New York, and it'll come here soon. You guys will see it. It's pretty cool. And we do scripted shows also. We try and stick with scary. We don't always make them scary, but we try to.
But in India, when I started in 92 television, and there was a Ramsey brothers. They were also only in the same field as you are.
They were the scary.
Yeah, Ramsey brothers, 3 brothers. We started together on television first time.
Wow.
The Z horror show.
Oh, I did not.
I'm
know
sure
that.
none of these young boys might have seen because it was 93 to 95.
And what was the Z horror
And
show?
my audience was from 6-year-old to 12 years old. It's a fact. So this was being watched by the just children.
But what was it? What was
All horror stories.
All scary
The name
stories.
itself was the Z Horror Show.
We should bring it back.
Yeah. I had some youngster came to me during the break. They have a question. What they were saying that they are studying in the management school and they want to start a event management business. But they went to their professor or teacher. He says, no, don't start. This is a bad business. Yes? Who said that? Just raise your hand. Who was asking this question? Yes. So he was told by his teacher that don't start this because there are companies, those who have made mark in the event management took 25 years. They didn't succeed. But in your case, for example, you succeeded just in about 1 week of your conviction taking decision. So what would you tell them?
Oh, I would say definitely don't listen to your teacher.
Yeah.
I feel like people are always best at doing what they love. So if that's what your passion is, don't listen to there are always 100 reasons not to do something and very few reasons to do something. But I feel like the one thing that I have learned going through, and I've made many mistakes in my career, but that if you kind of pursue what you love, generally things work themselves out. They don't work themselves out like you think they're going to,
Yeah.
but they seem to work themselves out.
They will work out. Have faith. Have confidence in yourself. Just do things with the passion. If you believe in your idea, go for it. That's what Jason is saying.
I agree.
Yeah.
With that.
Collection of the movies totally depend on the marketing. I want to know your point of view.
But my thought is it's 50% the movie and it's 50% the marketing of the movie. It's really half and half.
Collection of the movies totally depend on the marketing. I want to know your point of view.
But my thought is it's 50% the movie and it's 50% the marketing of the movie. It's really half and half. And the best executives are thinking about both from the very beginning, how the movie is going to be sold and how good the movie is. But there are examples of terrible movies that have done very well because of the marketing and great movies that have failed because of the marketing.
As you told, you got failed. So what was the motivation to you to learn from that thing, and what was the motivation for you, sir?
The motivation for me, truthfully, probably my parents. I really wanted to. I was always trying to prove. Probably my father. My father was an entrepreneur. He's retired now, but he had a successful art gallery, and he always emphasized the importance of having your own business. And I think what started out, maybe it's still true, but certainly what started out is wanting to show him that I could do that. So I would say that was a major motivating factor for me. Probably it still is too.
When you failed in some things, what is the learning you
I
had?
think I've definitely always learned more from failure than from success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important, at our company we have a meeting, we have a bunch of meetings, but every Monday morning we have a long meeting and we talk about the different movies and different projects that are out there. And I like to give people credit at the company who find projects that we've done well with. I also like to give people credit to the company who've passed on projects that haven't done well in other places. And I think it's really important to look at both, to look at success and to look at failure. The thing I've learned most from failure is that the more failure that you have, the easier it is to get up and keep trying again. And I still struggle with it, but I struggle with it less because I've had a lot of it. There's a show, this is kind of different than what we were talking about before, but I think it's an interesting example of how you, at some point, you kind of have to, I guess I'm always trying to find the balance of when do you finally give up, is one of the things I think about. And we had a reality show that we were pitching about 2 or 3 months ago, and it was a reality show about morticians, which is very grim, but it fit with our company. And I thought this was a terrific idea for a show, and we pitched this show because I really liked the show a lot, and I was involved with it. We pitched it to a lot of people, and everyone said no. And actually, as I was on the plane over here, I was actually thinking, maybe it's better we didn't do that show about morticians. So I think it's another interesting thing, is to kind of find the balance of when you fail, when do you listen to the world that's giving you, how much of that negative do you listen to and tweak what you're doing versus not listening at all? And that's something I try and balance all the time.
Wonderful. What I have learned is that, first of all, what I learned is that there is no failure till you accept it.
There's no failure?
There is no failure till you accept it.
Right.
Till you accept the
That's
failure,
true.
there is no failure in life.
That's true.
That's one thing. And secondly, when you fail in doing something, perceivably, you learn more and more out of that failure. Then you learn from successes, as you also said.
Yeah.
And never be afraid of failure. Now here we have a success story, little bit success story. A gentleman, young man who started making a first-time entrepreneur who started making LED lights, and he met failure, but he didn't give up. And let us look at the story.
रिश्तों को अगर सहेज कर रखा जाए तो वो जिंदगी को और भी खूबसूरत बना देते हैं। और जिंदगी का ये सच पुनीत ने जाना डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा से। दिल्ली के रहने वाले पुनीत शर्मा एक नामी इलेक्ट्रिकल कंपनी में काम करते थे। 2010 में पुनीत ने नौकरी छोड़कर अपना एलईडी लाइट्स का बिजनेस शुरू किया। काम ठीक चल रहा था, लेकिन उम्मीद अनुसार सफलता नहीं मिल रही थी।
काम कर रहा था, बट जो मैं अचीव करना चाह रहा था वो नहीं कर पा रहा था। फिर मैंने डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा शो देखा, उनका जयपुर का एपिसोड था रिगार्डिंग रिलेशनशिप, कि आप रिलेशनशिप्स का जिंदगी में क्या महत्व है, ये उन्होंने बोला था। तो उसी को सुन के मेरे को एक माइंड में आइडिया स्ट्राइक करा, और मैंने जो मेरे पुराने कॉन्टेक्ट्स थे उनको रिवाइव करा, उनको ढूंढा और उनसे बात करा, और आज 1 महीने पहले मैं जो चाहता था वो हुआ। अभी मेरा किसी एक बहुत बड़ी कंपनी से टाइप चल रहा है।
अपने प्रोफेशनल रिश्तों की बदौलत पुनीत को एक बड़ी बिजनेस डील मिल गई। डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा शो देखकर उनको कई नए आइडियाज भी मिलने लगे, और इन आइडियाज को सफल होते देख पुनीत का आत्मविश्वास भी दोगुना हो गया।
हम स्कूल जाते हैं, टीचर एक आइडिया देता है जिससे हम अपने एग्जाम्स देते हैं, जो भी कुछ पढ़ाई करते हैं। तो सेम आपको बिजनेस के लिए जो आइडिया चाहिए वो डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा शो से मेरे को मिला, और एक नहीं बहुत सारे आइडियाज हैं वहाँ पे, और प्रॉपर गाइडेंस है। आप कभी भी अपनी कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, आपको कोई भी प्रॉब्लम फेस करना है, आप डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा से कॉन्टेक्ट करेंगे शो में, क्लब में, तो आपको रिस्पांस मिलेगा।
एक सोच तभी सफल है जब उस पर कोई अमल करने वाला हो, और पुनीत की ही तरह डॉक्टर चंद्रा की सोच को सच में बदलकर सफलता पाने वाले लोग हमें यकीन दिलाते हैं कि इनकी तरह हम भी सही राह पर हैं।
This chap was failing in the business, but he saw this show and he got some idea that when you know a lot of people, develop your relationship, go back to them, maybe they can help, somebody can help, and somebody did help, and he is now successful. Very cool.
As a producer, what are your views that for the success of a movie, the box office collection matters or the great story?
That's a great question. We did a movie last year called Whiplash, which didn't have very good box office, but it had good critical response. So I would change a little bit. What we think about a lot is what's more important, the critical response as opposed to good story is subjective. The critical response or the box office? And my answer to your question is they're both important, but we try really hard to address that question first, not later. And I think one of the big mistakes that Hollywood makes is they're always trying to do both. And I think when you do both, you oftentimes risk winding up with neither one. So there are certain movies, obviously we try and make all our movies good and to have good stories, but there are certain movies that we're very clear that we're making this because it's commercial.
But tell me, Jason, why only horror movies?
For us?
Yes. Why you don't want to look at other genres?
We look at it occasionally, but I feel like Pixar means something, Disney means something, and what I'm pushing, that's my dream, 20 years in the future, right? To someday, that Blumhouse really, when that comes up on your TV or on Apple TV, that you know you're going to get a specific kind of content behind that, and I think that's helped us so far, and I think that's what I'm kind of aiming for, so that's why we continue to do scale.
That's wonderful. Okay, so this was all about basically entrepreneurship. You can see that how he started. He didn't get afraid of failure. Have passion, have faith, have confidence in yourself, in your ideas, and you will succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
जर तुम्हाला डॉक्टर सुभाष चंद्रा शो मध्ये सहभागी होण्याची इच्छा असेल तर आम्हाला SMS करा, DSC स्पेस द्या, तुमचं नाव टाईप करा आणि पाठवा 57575 वर. तुम्ही ईमेलही करू शकता dsc@zmedia.slgroup.com वर.
झी 24 तास रहा एक पाऊल पुढे.